After being stuck for months on the International Space Station, 2 astronauts are finally coming home. We'll have every update on their journey back to Earth. Plus, multiple cities are meeting about fluoride in their water system, why one could be a $700,000 decision, and why parking in downtown Mount Dora might start costing you. This is News 6 Mornings.
Hey, good morning on your Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock. Thanks for joining us on News 6
Plus.
See, Steve did it.
YouTube. Or YouTube.
Or
YouTube.
Clicko.
I'm Crystal Moyer.
I'm Justin Wormuth. We got you covered. Trooper Steve watching those roads. But first, we're going to start with meteorologist David Nazario. He's in for Candace, pinpointing what we have in store for this Tuesday.
Yes, and Tuesday looks spectacular. Truthfully,
Nice.
You just pushed an article out over on clickorlando.com. The rest of your spring break week ahead, to include Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, who does get to take advantage if you are out there watching. I hope she's sleeping in. But starting off, yeah, I agree. I would definitely be. I'm exhausted over the last couple of days. We went from talking severe weather to this type of weather right now. And this is glorious. You can finally start to see the sun is rising out there in downtown Orlando. Skies are going to stay clear. The sun is shining. It is a little on the chilly side, though, to tell you the truth. We still have that polar air coming in out of the north. 51 in Orlando, 45 in the Villages. Ocala's actually cooled down a little bit, believe it or not. At 41, 55, we're warming up down in Kissimmee. You can see the radar is void of anything out there. We're not expecting any shot for rain over the next couple days. Tracking something on Thursday that might try to elevate our rain chances. Here are those winds out of the northwest starting to come down as we warm up. We'll kind of keep the stronger gusts right up along the shoreline over the heart of Central Florida. The winds will stay fairly calm, cool, and collected. These are your forecast highs for the day today. Honestly, a glorious rest of your Tuesday in store. Definitely going to have some fun out there later on. And then here are your rain chances for Thursday. Very low end risk, to tell you the truth. We're going to be tracking this as we go over the next couple days. Now, let's go ahead and talk some traffic with Trooper Steve.
7 o'clock in the morning. We're doing pretty good on a Tuesday. However, MOT set up long-term MOT mode of transportation out here by construction crews along southbound lanes of State Road 429. Remember the other day this happened in the middle of our show, and then they started to push all the traffic there to the right-hand side of the roadway, which is the cash lanes for the toll. This is going to be south of 535 Stony Brook area. Again, in the southbound directions, not going to delay you too much. May slow you down a little bit because the speed limit between those toll plazas. Outside of that, I-4 traffic doing well this morning. 17 minutes from Seminole to downtown. 20 if you're coming in from the attractions area. And then 408 looking good. Looks like the sky is going to line up real nice this morning. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Trooper Steve. Right now, a crime alert in Altamont Springs as police search for a man they say attacked at least 3 women on the same night.
Here's a sketch of the suspect. This was released by detectives, and now we're hearing from one of those victims. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez, live for us in Altamont Springs this morning. So, Stephanie, police say there could be several other victims?
Yeah, that's right. Police believe there are many victims that have similar stories. We're hearing from one today who says she was here at Cancun Fiesta in the parking lot when a man tried to grab her from behind.
Walk to my car and feeling a person very, very close to me and stop next to the door of my car.
Speaking to us in Spanish, Valerie Pacheco is thankful to be okay after the man seen in this surveillance video attacked her in a parking lot while she was picking up an Uber Eats order.
I see a man behind me, a little taller than me, and I was scared. I asked, "What do you need?" When I spoke to him, he tried to grab my legs. I walked back and started screaming and jumped.
And Pacheco isn't the only person to have encountered this man. The Altamont Springs Police Department released both surveillance video and a sketch of the man they say assaulted 3 women in 3 separate incidents. According to investigators, all 3 incidents took place near State Road 436 and Weimar Road between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 p.m. In one, police say he wore a black mask covering his entire face except his eyes. Detectives say the women were alone and the suspect assaulted them after dark, leaving women who live in this area, like Samantha Bisbee, frightened.
It's kind of scary, I'm not going to lie, so I'm trying to hurry up and get to the store before, it gets dark, because that's when I get scared.
Totally understandable. I mean, it's dark right now, so if you're out on your own, please be cautious. Police urge you to look at that sketch, and if you recognize the person in it, to give them a call. Reporting live in Altamont Springs, Stephanie Rodriguez, Getting Results, News 6.
Stephanie, thanks. Breaking overnight, 2 Starliner astronauts stranded in space for more than 9 months officially begin their trip home. Around 1 this morning, this happened. The undocking of the SpaceX capsule carrying Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams. As CBS's Derek Waller explains, if all goes planned, the The pair are expected to splash down in just hours.
All hooks open.
All hooks are open. And undocking confirmed.
Overnight, the moment two stranded American astronauts finally began their long-delayed journey home. The SpaceX Dragon 9 capsule undocked from the International Space Station at 1:05 a.m. Eastern. Among the four-person crew, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore. The pair embarked on a planned 8-day research mission last June, but propulsion issues forced them to stay in orbit for more than 9 months. The other two crew members on board, a Russian cosmonaut and another NASA astronaut.
Ignition and liftoff.
Williams and Wilmore's replacement crew, led by Commander Ann McClain, launched Friday from the Kennedy Space Center. On Sunday, the veteran astronauts welcomed them aboard.
It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive.
You can hardly even put it into words. The ride up on the Falcon 9, orbiting the Earth for the last couple of days, it's been absolutely incredible.
Ken Bowersox, a former astronaut himself, now leads space operations for NASA.
It's always a little bittersweet, right? You miss your family, but you love being on space station. I'm looking forward to sitting across from them and hearing about their perception of how things went and all about their time on orbit.
And it will be a story unlike any other.
And splashdown is scheduled to happen just off the Florida coast tonight around 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm Derek Waller, CBS News.
And when that splashdown happens, we'll be sure to bring it to you on air on clickorlando.com and our streaming channel here on News 6 Plus.
Well, if you think there are quite a few rocket launches right now, SpaceX is asking the FAA to let it launch more than double the amount it already does. How about that? The proposal would be for SpaceX to launch up to 120 times from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. For perspective, last year's record of 93 launches, and that was obviously record-breaking. It averages out to almost 2 launches a week. While some say more launches will bring more economic growth, others say the Cape already too busy.
With more launches, more people will be employed, but there will be some disruptions too. If you're going to double the number of launches, you're going to need basically constant notification almost to the FAA to make sure those airspaces are clear.
Now, there will be a virtual meeting to discuss this proposal next month. Right now, crews in Brevard County keeping a close watch on a brush fire burning near Kennedy Space Center. Overnight, you could actually see the flames and the glow there from the fire from our Port Canaveral Launch Credit Union camera. It appears to be burning in the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. At this point, it's unclear how many acres have burned or if the fire's contained. As soon as we get any other details, we'll let you know.
We'll be checking with Sumter County deputies today to see if there's any updates after a gruesome discovery during a traffic stop. A man's body found inside a car. The sheriff's office says one of their deputies spotted a car that investigators had been looking for near High Street in the Wildwood area yesterday. When that deputy looked inside, he found a man dead. Investigators originally said they were looking for a man who was seen walking in the area of that scene, but did not say if he was a suspect or if they were able to find him. Meantime, anyone who may have information about the case is urged to call Crime Line, and you can call anonymously at 1-800-423-TIPS.
In just hours, the city of Cocoa will become the latest to discuss whether to continue adding fluoride to their drinking water, and the decision could end up costing the city thousands of dollars. That's because Cocoa, which is the largest supplier of drinking water in Brevard County, has not been adding fluoride for the past 2 years after an equipment failure. In order to resume the process, the city will have to spend about $700,000 and then $65,000 a year after that. Tonight's meeting is set for 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, Port Orange also set to discuss fluoride. The city expected to decide whether to keep it in the water supply or get rid of it. The additive has come under fire in recent months after Florida Surgeon General urged against its use, saying it could have adverse health effects.
Parents and teachers, listen up. Changes could soon be coming to the types of tests high school students are required to pass in order to graduate.
So right now, Florida students are required to pass the Algebra 1 and English portions of the exam. However, a new bill would get rid of that requirement, and instead, the scores from both exams would figure into your child's final course grade.
Numbers show that 43% of the class of 2024 graduated from high school without passing one or both of the graduation exams needed to graduate. Those students received diplomas by substituting failing scores in most state tests with passing grades on exams like the ACT or the SAT. The push for the new bill comes ahead of the new scoring system that would require even higher marks on the state test. That scoring system could go into effect in 2026. Wow. Well, turning back to your weather now, David, we're still months away from hurricane season, but there's a spot in the tropics catching your attention.
Absolutely. You know the name of the game here at the Pinpoint Weather Center. Let's start out locally first. This is our water vapor satellite shot this morning. You can see the dry air continues to funnel in out of the northwest. Just back behind the storm system that provided us with a multi-day severe weather event. We were here in-house tracking that during the day on Sunday. We had a couple of tornado warnings that try to wander into our area. Thankfully, a totally different song and dance for the week ahead. This is our radar outside right now. Despite the brush fires out in Brevard County, we're not tracking much in the way of rain. So good for about 99% of us out there, unless you're a part of the crews trying to suppress that fire out there in Brevard. Hopefully those conditions don't get any worse. I know the winds this morning are not helping. And yes, if you are just joining us right now, I promise as you wake up today on your Tuesday morning, we didn't go back to the future. We're not in June, July, or anything like that. It is March. We're not even into the spring season yet. And you can see National Hurricane Center did issue a special tropical weather outlook yesterday with an area of interest at a 10% shot of development over the next 48 hours to 7 days. So we'll talk more about that deeper into the show. For now, if you look at this temperature trend, solid week ahead. Let's talk some traffic now with Trooper Steve.
Thank you, sir. Sky 6 out there cruising the Florida Turnpike at the moment, just out by 429. Saw a trooper out in the left travel lane headed northbound with the lights and, well, I say lights and siren, but we can't hear the siren from here, so I'm just assuming it was on. But as they're headed northbound out there towards State Road 50, see what Sky 6 ends up rolling out there within the next few minutes. Outside of that, the rest of us are still looking nice. 7-Eleven in the morning, 408, even Kirkman, north and southbound running parallel with Hiawassee through the Metro West area. Maybe if you're coming in from Windermere, Apopka Vineland, nice and clear there as well. So cruising down towards Dr. Phillips, we're running clear there. Do like we just had a crash come out here. Looks like this is going to be US 192 out by Celebration area. Give me a few. I'll get some info on that one. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. 7:12 now. A consumer alert when it comes to millions of cars on the road.
Coming up, what a Consumer Reports investigation found when it comes to the information they could be collecting without you even knowing.
First, though, a key discussion on the future of the Russia-Ukraine war. Up next, who President Trump expected to speak with today when it comes to a possible ceasefire. Happening today, President Trump set to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin as he works towards peace between Russia and Ukraine.
We're going to see if we can work a peace agreement, a ceasefire and peace, and I think we'll be able to do it.
Meantime, the Trump administration has been given until noon today to explain its decision to deport alleged gang members by using the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. The administration was reportedly ordered Saturday to immediately turn around 2 planes that were heading to El Salvador. but didn't after a judge blocked the use of the act. Officials say a third flight also took off later that day. The Trump administration argued that the judge's order was not in writing until after the first 2 flights took off, and the court no longer had jurisdiction since the planes were over international waters. Well, of course, right now, spring break's in full swing in Volusia County. As you can imagine, the big crowds looking to let loose are keeping law enforcement quite busy. News 6 tagged along with the Volusia Sheriff's Office yesterday, getting a firsthand look at the challenges that they're facing. Over the weekend, they say 82 people were arrested, including 10 on felony charges. That is a busy start, considering last year, spring break saw 52 arrests and 200 citations for the entire week. Deputies say underage drinking and traffic issues are among the top problems, with hundreds, if not thousands, of teens flocking to the coast.
New this morning, if you bought a new car in the last 5 years, you might be sharing more than just the road. In today's Insider, a new Consumer Reports investigation reveals how automakers could be tracking and selling your driving data without you even knowing. That new car of yours isn't just tracking your mileage. A new Consumer Reports investigation reveals that nearly every major automaker in the U.S. is collecting so-called driver behavior data. Everything from how hard you brake to how fast you accelerate.
We poured through thousands of pages of privacy policies, and we questioned 15 different automakers that sell vehicles here in the United States.
Consumer Reports investigative reporter Derek Kravitz says that BMW, Ford, Toyota, Honda, and others gather this information often without drivers fully understanding what they've agreed to.
Most drivers simply click agree when they're setting up their car's infotainment system, and they unknowingly give permission for their data to be collected and then shared.
Many automakers say they get your consent before sharing data and only pass it to trusted partners. But when Consumer Reports ask them to name these companies, nearly all refuse to say who.
We found that your driving data often ends up with insurance companies and lenders who can use it to determine premiums and loan terms. This creates what experts call a driver score, and that's pretty similar to a credit score.
There is a way to take control of your data, though. Most automakers allow consumers to submit requests to limit data sharing or delete their information completely. You can find more information on how to stop the data sharing on clickorlando.com. Keep in mind, though, opting out could mean losing access to features like roadside assistance and crash detection.
March Madness officially kicks off this week. That means basketball fans are quickly filling out those brackets. But what are the odds of picking a perfect lineup? It doesn't matter what the odds are because it's not going to happen. Not to disappoint you, according to the NCAA, the odds of picking all 64 teams correctly is 1 in 9.2 quintillion. But if you happen to know just a little bit about basketball, you can boost your odds to a mere 1 in 120.2 billion.
Okay.
Yes, despite the numbers, experts say about 100 million brackets are filled out each March Madness.
It's the underdogs who will win the games. It's the unknown. It's the pace of the games. It's a action-packed 3 weeks.
The worst is when you lose the first game of the tournament.
You're like, busted your bracket.
I'm like, oh, good call there, Justin. Well, the American Gaming Association estimates Americans will legally wager about $3 billion on men's and women's basketball tournaments this year. That's another portion of this. You have the bracket side, and then you got the betting side. And if you're planning to fill out a bracket, keep a close eye on clickorlando.com. We are bringing back our bracket challenge, where News 6 insiders can compete alongside us to see who has the best one. We're going to post details on that on our website later this week.
I remember joining here.
I like this music.
You guys were like, fill out your bracket. And I'm like, what? I don't know what that is.
How'd you do?
No.
Do you have a system, or you just kind of Christmas tree it?
Make it fun.
If it tickles my heart a little bit, then
there you go.
Sure. But you're so knowledgeable.
Justin knows everything about sports, right? So he's real serious about this. He's like, they have this record, but I just like the mascots, the colors.
That's the way to do it, though. You can throw all the technical, all the analytics aside when it comes to this time of year, because literally anything can happen. It's one game, right? And if somebody has it and the other team doesn't, your bracket's
Come on, Grand Canyon. Come on, Grand Canyon.
Not too much, to tell you the truth. In fact, while you guys are talking sports, I'm over here just trying to find a way to work an illion word, like quintillion, billion, something like that.
Billion.
That's the buzzword of the day today. I'm over here like, how can I work that into the weather update here?
Well, the
in a
chances
second?
of not liking the weather today may be a one in a quintillion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be that nice.
It is, exactly. And, you know, this morning,
like
those
it.
probabilities might be a little bit on the higher side, just because I know a lot of us native Floridians don't like the chilly weather, but I promise, give it a couple hours and we're going to be good to go. Now, we're into a new hour, so let's break down some of your weather headlines. As always, for your situational awareness, haven't kicked one of those in there in a little bit. For the day today, I hear Trooper Steve in the background getting to kick us military brats. For the day today, we're starting out a little on the chilly side for this morning, but we are in store for a nice afternoon. Tuesday and Wednesday temperatures are going to continue to rebound as our next storm system comes in. And then Thursday, Friday, that next cold front is going to arrive late. Not a big chance for rain, but it is going to cool us down just in time for Friday and an outstanding weekend. This is the trough that provided us with a multi-day severe weather event just off the East Coast, bringing in more of that dry air out of the northwest, pinpointing the next weather system that's currently over the Rocky Mountains right now, expected to move over the Great Plains within the next day or two. An area of low pressure is going to form. Could drop some severe weather in areas already previously battered by it, but here in Central Florida, looking a lot more calm, cool, and collected, thankfully. Here's a look at that next system. This is Wednesday at 4 p.m. We're going to be on the mild side as we go through Tuesday and Wednesday, highs in the low to mid 80s. And then on Thursday, notice the future radar just kind of dies out once it gets over Central Florida. I think as a result of that dry air still hanging out just a little bit, going to help to suppress any of the rainfall. But the cooler temps are definitely going to come back in store. Here's a look at the precipitable water, the moisture along the leading edge of the front. It is there, but notice right as it moves from the Big Bend, Jacksonville area into our neck of the woods, we start to lose that moisture stream. So, you know, honestly, even the future radar from the Barron shows some spotty, isolated showers at best, especially the further north you go. But down here in Orlando, we're looking at more of a dry front than we are at a cold, wet front. And unfortunately, the drought conditions do speak volumes here. You can see we are getting into the severe conditions over Lake and Sumter County, and the moderate goes out from there. And then, yes, now I will admit, I'm going to go ahead and throw the disclaimer out there now. We're not holding on to our butts just yet, but it is out there, and we have an AOI brought to us by a special tropical weather outlook from the Hurricane Center. And I'm going to be writing an article over on Clicko later today. Check it out. But if you look, this is where our low pressure sits. Superimposed beneath this chart, we do have those warmer water temps in the subtropics, not so much down in the tropics. We're going to talk a little bit about the science behind that. If it were to try to somehow pull off a Hail Mary and develop a name and take on a name, first name on the list, even though it's only March, would be Andrea. Don't really think that's going to happen. Don't give it a glimmer of hope in doing so. But you know what? Mother Nature's throwing a lot of curves at us. And with that being said, let's take a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast. So as we look over the next couple days, fixating close to home here, we have 76 for the day today. Highs are going to get back into the 80s on Wednesday and Thursday with that front arriving, the dry front, not even going to call it much of a cold front. Friday might be a little on the chillier side, last little hope or reminiscent of winter. And then the weekend, spectacular way to round out spring break. And now here's Trooper Steve with your latest on the traffic.
Trying to keep up with you, David. What's AOI mean?
Area of interest.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I was sitting there, I'm like, okay. He's talking and giving a lot of info. I'm like, okay, I don't know that one though. Sky 6, they're going to go refuel for us this morning, cruising over the last portion of 4. Not much going on out there, just the way we need it. However, in the construction zone, Turnpike, we have a crash that came out. So this is going to be northbound over in the Montverde area, 281. They pushed a lot of it over to the shoulder, so a lot of your lanes are back open. It is a bright drive in this morning, so make sure that the sun visor's down, you're paying attention to what's going on. But there is kind of bumper-to-bumper traffic out there right now. Mixed construction with a crash. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Trooper Steve. It's 7:23 on your Tuesday. A once bustling mall getting a new lease on life.
Yeah, at the bottom of the hour, the new multi-million-dollar deal to save the Seminole Town Center. Happening today in Mount Dora, parking solutions are expected to be at the top of the agenda during this evening's commission meeting. Possible solutions for parking in the downtown area could mean that you'll have to pay some more money. Some of those ideas include paid parking with 4-hour time limits, a shuttle bus service, and turning Baker and Alexander into one-way streets with diagonal parking. That meeting is tonight at 6. Still to come on News 6 Mornings, a new bill now floating in the state Senate could completely do away with what you voted on.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, how lawmakers are pushing to speed up future developments and reduce green space.
Plus, an urgent search in Altamont Springs for a man accused of assaulting several women. Up next, what one victim is telling News 6 about her encounter with the suspect. You're watching News 6 Mornings, getting results for Winter Park, Cocoa Beach, and all of Central Florida on this glorious Tuesday morning.
Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
Good morning, Central Florida News 6 meteorologist David Nazario on this beautiful Tuesday morning. The radar out there is clear, and it is expected to stay that way. If you look outside right now, temperatures 41 in Gainesville, 41 in Ocala. We're getting into the 50s here in the greater Orlando metro area. We're looking at a beautiful week in store for us, pinpointing maybe a very slight chance for rain this Thursday as the next front arrives. But regardless, if you're taking advantage of spring break, enjoy, folks. Let's get to traffic with Trooper Steve.
Thank you, David. Things very slow out on the Florida Turnpike this morning, north of 429, south of US 27. Both directions, mix that with overnight construction and then a crash that happened in the northbound place. Kind of set us up for failure. Out here, 535, a little slow with a crash out here at 192 by Florida Plaza Boulevard, just east of Celebration, west there of State Road 417. Outside of that, the rest of us doing pretty smooth this morning. The news continues next. Remember, you get updates on our big stories anytime you want them over at clickorlando.com. Drive safely.
This portion of the news is sponsored live from clickorlando.com and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood. Now it's 7:30.
A community on high alert after a suspect's accused of attacking several women after dark. How one of the victims is responding as police work to make an arrest.
In a devastating wrong-way crash kills 3 people, including a child. What troopers are saying about the investigation and why it's making headlines around the world. Plus,
even if you don't care about rural areas, which many of us do, but even if you don't care about that, this is horrible for you.
Is rural preservation at risk? Why a new bill in the Senate is sparking debate about runaway growth. Good morning to you, Central Florida. I'm Justin Warman.
And I'm Crystal Moyer. We'll have those stories ahead, but we want to start with a check of your pinpoint weather with meteorologist David Nazario in for Candace. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And honestly, I just got a second wind, and I wish I could do this outside, because looking at the Orlando Skycam, as the sun finally comes up across our area, just look at that. Everybody just take it in. I honestly don't even want to talk over this. Let's all just admire the beautiful view we have out there right now. Here's a look at your temperatures. 51 here in Orlando, 44 in the Villages, 41 in Ocala, and 55. We're slowly warming up here in Kissimmee. Now, we are dry out there. Winds are still out of the northwest and kind of breezy, so those temperatures will feel on the chilly side, but this afternoon, I promise, get out there and enjoy. It's going to be a fantastic day. We're going to talk more about this here in a moment. We do have a special area of interest out in the subtropics, not necessarily in the tropics. I'll break that down here in a moment, and you can see here, if we look at our current winds, they are still funneling in out of the north-northwest, and they're going to keep us dry and pleasant for the next couple days, pinpointing a very small chance for rain on your Thursday evening. But for now, let's talk traffic with Trooper Steve.
You know, with the new morning music, David, we could have had that view, had the music playing in the background a little bit.
That's a missed opportunity. We should have.
Yeah, I had like 10 minutes of just straight staring at the TV. Sky 6 has their camera turned around because they're beeline it back towards Orlando Executive. Time to refuel at 7:32 in the morning. Not much going on out there. We're actually looking really nice outside of the Turnpike on the north end. Like I've said a few times, very slow this morning, but outside of that, I'm only watching a crash at 192 at Florida Plaza Boulevard, which is just east there of Celebration down in the Kissimmee area, and then some slowdowns along Vineland, which is State Road 535 from Osceola Parkway, just for about 2 blocks there to the county line. Poinciana, good morning to you guys. Pleasant Hill, you definitely know it's spring break. No traffic. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Steve. A crime alert now out of Altamont Springs. Police say a man threatened 3 women on the same night. And this morning, we are hearing from one of those victims.
Investigators say they believe the suspect targeted his victims because they were alone. They released this sketch of the man they're looking for, saying the community should be on high alert if they are out after dark. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez joins us live from where one of the victims says she was attacked. And Stephanie, how does she say she's feeling?
She's feeling terrified. She says she hasn't been the same since she was here at Cancun Fiesta in the parking lot at night when a man came up behind her and tried to grab her. She's in fear, and people who live in this area are also worried that they might encounter this man.
After this incident, I am very traumatized. I'm scared of everything when people come near me and I don't know them. He made me scared. I'm scared.
Speaking to us in Spanish, Valerie Pacheco says she's thankful to be okay, but is still trying to pick up the pieces after the man seen in this surveillance video attacked her in a parking lot.
Walk to my car and feeling a person very, very close to me and stop next to the door of my car.
She says that moments later, that's when the man was attempting to grab her from behind.
I see a man behind me, a little taller than me, and I was scared. I asked, "What do you need?" When I spoke to him, he tried to grab my legs. I walked back and started screaming and jumped.
And this isn't an isolated incident. The Altamont Springs Police Department has released surveillance video and a sketch of the man they say assaulted 3 women in 3 separate incidents. Investigators say all 3 incidents took place near State Road 436 and Weimer Road between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Detectives say that the women were all alone and that the suspect assaulted them after dark, leaving those who live in the area concerned that they'll be targeted.
I was walking to work. It was nighttime already. You know, I had no clue what had happened. I get to work and, you know, I work with a bunch of females, so they're all talking about it.
And that's why police have made this crime alert to make people aware, and they've released that sketch and surveillance video. Take a look at it. If you recognize the person, call the police and be cautious if you're out alone after dark. Reporting live in Altamont Springs, Stephanie Rodriguez, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Breaking overnight, we're asking investigators for more information on a crash along Fern Creek Avenue and Colonial Drive. Here's a look at the scene around 11:30 last night. We got this video from a witness when it first happened, showing that car crashed into the fence of a Starbucks. We're still waiting to hear more about what caused this and if anyone was hurt, but we will update you as soon as we hear more on air and on clickorlando.com.
We now know the names of the 3 people killed in a wrong-way crash over the weekend in Osceola County. Troopers say an F-150 was driving the wrong way on Kenansville Road when the driver hit the other car, causing it to run off the road and flip over. The crash made headlines in India. Gulf News showed pictures of 34-year-old Pragathi Reddy, 5-year-old Harveen Paramadla, and 54-year-old Sunitha Paramadla. Those are the 3 people Florida Highway Patrol confirms were killed in that crash over the weekend.
It's definitely emotional. It's especially something like this where a 5-year-old, lost their life. Like it's just a tragedy.
2 other people, including a 9-month-old, survived. FHP says it's too early in the investigation to determine whether or not speed or alcohol was a factor in this crash.
The trial for the man accused of killing a father in a road rage shooting is expected to begin today. Orlando police say Nicholas Carrasquillo shot Alex Sly along East Colonial Drive back in January of last year. Carrasquillo says Sly's car cut him off, and then police say it escalated when Carrasquillo grabbed a gun from his glove box, firing at the victim. He is now facing charges of second-degree murder and shooting into an occupied vehicle. He has pleaded not guilty to both charges.
A new bill to speed up development and reduce green space is closer to becoming law. It would roll back 2 measures in Orange and Seminole counties voters overwhelmingly approved last year. News 6's Mike Valenti shows us why this rural boundary debate is causing controversy.
It is a quality of life issue.
Dave Baer has been laser focused on trying to preserve Seminole County's rural boundary.
Even if you don't care about rural areas, which many of us do, but even if you don't care about that, this is horrible for you because it will drain the county's budget.
As the president of the organization Save Rural Seminole, Baer is worried that this bill, Senate Bill 1118, would lead to runaway growth.
Florida's precious to me, and my children are here. But we have to figure this thing out, and we can't just not talk about it.
State Senator Stan McClain of Ocala sponsored this bill that he hopes will streamline development rules, making it easier to build homes. An amendment just filed to the bill would retroactively overturn referendums passed by voters going back to 2011.
It is demoralizing that public officials who are elected would have the audacity to undermine what we've worked on so hard and long here in Seminole County.
Just last year, 82% of voters in Seminole County voted to reinforce the rural boundary, which Baer fears is in jeopardy of being chipped away. And 73% of voters in Orange County approved the creation of a rural boundary there. Alluding to the backlash, Senator McClain Monday night tried to assuage critics' concerns.
And this is what I've said. When people say to me, they say, oh, this is going to destroy some boundary in Seminole County. This is going to destroy some boundary in Marion County. This is going to do that.
The bill will now go to 2 more committees. Mike Valenti, Getting Results, News 6.
New life for a once bustling mall. A developer is finalizing a $17 million deal to buy Seminole Town Center in Sanford, ending months of uncertainty. After store closures and ownership changes, the 76-acre mall has been acquired by a private real estate firm. Plans include a mixed-use destination with retail, housing, even a hotel. The city of Sanford says it will amount to one of the largest retail developments in Seminole County history. And many have been speculating and hoping for it. A Costco expected to open in the mall. As we get more details on the mall's future plans, of course, we'll keep you updated on clickorlando.com.
We're getting a closer look at just how much damage that EF2 tornado in Seminole County caused last week. Sky 6 was above the neighborhood once again yesterday, where officials say 41 homes were affected. 1 was destroyed. Seminole County tells us damage estimates have reached nearly $4 million. Excluding rebuilding costs, the county has already cleared almost 4,000 cubic yards of debris. For perspective, That's enough to fill 100 garbage trucks. Officials say cleanup efforts are expected to continue for weeks there. Unfortunate situation. Awful to see that damage. All right, let's turn now to your weather. The good thing is we don't have anything like this expected today. Meteorologist David Nazario is in for Candace, pinpointing just an absolutely perfect start out there.
So I wanted to bring this up one more time, and I've foregone the temperatures behind me. I know we just left that somber note talking the tornado damage up to the north here in our local area, but this, truthfully, I don't even really need to say very much. This image here really communicates what the weather story is for the next several days. We have a front coming in on Thursday that could help to bring up our rain chances just a smidge before cooling us down again on Friday. But here's a look at the radar outside, and there's really nothing going on. A night and day difference between what we dealt with last Monday and this past weekend. We're not tracking any major weather players in our pattern for the immediate future, which is good news. Bit of a chilly note out there this morning with some winds out of the northwest. 41 still in Gainesville, 42 over in Palm Coast. Bit of a gradient there. If you notice, Palm Coast at 42, Daytona Beach already up to 47. Much more milder temps right up against the East Coast from Cape Canaveral south to Melbourne, and we're still chilling at 51 here in downtown Orlando. Now, for the day today, you can see we're going to warm up out of the cool zone we're in right now, mostly sunny skies and only a few clouds out there, if any at best. And then tomorrow, as that return flow, the southerly wind flow begins to build back in, the sun is still going to dominate, but notice it will be much warmer than the day today, back into the 80s for Tuesday and especially on Wednesday. So honestly, definitely feels like spring break in the air. Now let's talk about traffic with Trooper Steve.
Well, the good thing is I'm not flying anywhere in the air right now, so we're just staying out here out on the roadway. Florida Turnpike, guys, you guys are so slow this morning. Mix that with some lingering construction and an earlier crash out there that just happened, really kind of messing us up, both north and southbound. So no matter where you're at, if you're coming in from north of Okahumpka or south of that area, just keep in mind, add some time because you guys are kind of bumper to bumper. Also, I-4 westbound at Maitland. Reports of an earlier crash slowed us down, but DOT showing we're looking good. It being such a nice day, I'm going to go drive around the Oviedo area today. WKMG hits the road. We're going to be hitting that place up. So if you know of a good place that you want me to visit in Oviedo, maybe for lunch, hit me up on Facebook Messenger so I'll post about it. Join me, 10 a.m., clickorlando.com. Guys, back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Steve. 7:42 now. A local mom is working to turn challenges into change.
And she says independence starts in the kitchen.
I'm very proud of all of them. They've come a long way.
How a nonprofit and Valencia College are cooking up opportunities for young adults with disabilities.
First, though, the rules of the road when it comes to driving with pets. Trooper Steve breaks down what you need to know to keep your furry friends safe.
Time for Ask Trooper Steve, where I get to answer some of the questions that you send in to me, sometimes fact-based, sometimes a little opinion here and there, right? But this is the question that we're talking about here. You guys know we love our dogs. Are there laws on the books that govern the way that you transport your pets in your car? Olivia B. is asking this. And I said dogs, but hey, it's Florida. It could be a variety of different things. But Florida does have traffic laws and safety considerations when driving with a pet in the car, though there is no specific statewide law that directly prohibits pets from being unrestrained while driving. But listen up, there are a few important points that you need to keep in mind. For example, like careless or reckless driving, right? If that pet is interfering with your ability to drive safely, well, then you can get pulled over for that. But also, what about obstructing your view, right? Florida does require you to be able to see clearly. And then you also have distracted driving. Are you actually in control of that vehicle? Guys, I've been driving out there. I've seen dogs up on the shoulder. I've seen cats behind the neck. Yet to see a snake on a driver yet, but that'd be interesting. But you got to make sure you're paying attention. I'm going to post some tips on the web article at clickorlando.com. If you got a traffic safety question or just something you want to talk about, head to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
Thanks, Steve. Well, if you're headed to the airport this week, you can continue to expect heavy crowds as travelers take to the skies for spring break. No surprise there. But severe weather on Sunday caused a ground delay at MCO, stranding some passengers and raising concerns about flight impacts. Now things are picking back up, but the airport expects over 7 million people during the 44-day spring travel period.
So just keeping up to date with the online and checking everything. So I wasn't upset. I wasn't like scared or anything like that.
I was a little bit upset because I wanted to enjoy my spring break and I didn't want it to get all to waste.
Always have to have patience when heading to the airport, right? Well, some of the busiest days coming up at the airport are Saturdays and Sundays in March. We checked this morning, and right now TSA lines, they're looking smooth with all gates under a 20-minute wait.
Well, it's a nonprofit meant to help people with disabilities live independent lives.
We've told you around a year ago about Home of Bright Choices here at News 6. Since then, we've followed along as it partnered with Valencia College to help the young adults get experience in the kitchen. News 6's Julie Broughton shows us what it was like as they completed their first course.
Okay, so I need everybody around here.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
And mix with the milk.
And for the students here at the Valencia College School of Culinary Arts, it's also a sign of opportunity.
Because of their practicing, they're much further ahead than they used to be.
Tonight is the final class for this pilot program that started more than a year ago. The students are from the nonprofit Home of Bright Choices.
Any questions?
They all have cognitive disabilities and a love for the kitchen.
Like within 18 months, like they started and now they're kind of at the end of this one course, what we're calling basic culinary skills.
The idea is that with the right training, they'll be able to pursue a job in food service. It's a goal for many. Looking on proudly from the back of the room is Arlene Rodenbeck. She's the founder of Home of Bright Choices.
I'm very proud of all of them. They've come a long way and shown that provided the opportunity, those with cognitive disabilities can achieve many things and be successful and be contributing members to their communities.
Karina Rodriguez wasn't sure what to expect, but her daughter Samantha overcame her fears and is now conquering the kitchen.
For her, it's a big accomplishment. As she becomes an adult, that's going to help her with her independent skills.
I'm going to call your name and then you come up and receive your certificate.
As these students move on to their next challenge, they're learning the most important meal of the day
Congratulations.
is the one you make yourself. Julie Broughton, getting results, News 6.
I love that.
That's
awesome.
too cool.
Chefing up some life skills there.
Right?
Can't beat it. I mean, it's something I'm still working on. I'm a work in progress in the kitchen, no doubt about that. But I do find joy in it. I find a little bit of zen when cooking as well.
Okay,
you know, you kind of like zone
said
out.
that, so.
I don't mind cooking. I like it,
Do
actually.
you want to bring something?
And it also gives me free range on
Absolutely.
the spices and how much, salt or butter, because those are the two most important
Butter makes
ingredients.
everything good.
Everything
Yes,
good.
it does.
Even the weather. No, there's no transition there. My bad. Meteorologist.
He tried.
Sorry.
Trying to make it as smooth as butter.
I'll match your energy and say I find zen and peace being this far from the hurricane season. And National Hurricane Center has given me the privilege to bring you all a special tropical update, especially since we're getting ready to wrap up the show. Let's talk some tropics, but first we'll go ahead and do local weather. This is our infrared satellite out there right now. Not much going on in Central Florida. We are watching for a severe risk up over the Midwest and a bit of influence with that upcoming storm system that could try to bring us a very low-end chance for rain on Thursday into very early morning Friday. But honestly, clear conditions are going to dominate. If you look at our future radar for the Thursday event, and around Thursday at 1 o'clock, maybe a chance for a light shower or two. Both Jonathan and myself are going to be pinpointing exactly what the rain chance looks like. Maybe a rogue 20% in there. But if you look at the graphic here, very uneventful. It isn't until next Monday where we get a bit more of a robust system into the southeast and eastern United States to maybe bring back the chances for rain here in Central Florida. Now, as promised, here we go. This is our tropical weather outlook, courtesy of a special outlook brought to us by National Hurricane Center at approximately 1 in the afternoon yesterday. This is an area of non-tropical low pressure over the central Atlantic. This is the subtropical region between the mid-latitudes to the north and the actual bona fide tropics to the south. Not giving this a fighting chance to develop. We had a little bit of thunderstorm activity closest to the center of circulation yesterday, but if you look now, we do have that distinct low-level spin out there, but the convection that did fire up those thunderstorms are now loaded well off to the east of the low pressure, and the shear, the dry air is kind of just choking it out. And then if you look just off to the right here behind me, we have that approaching strong frontal system that's going to pull it in. They're going to do a little dance called the Fujiwara effect out there near Bermuda, maybe some inclement weather for them. But this thing, guys, is not going to take on any named storm characteristics. It had a very small window of opportunity to go subtropical, but that's about it. And now go ahead and dust off the cobwebs. Crash course for y'all to become an actual tropical cyclone. We need that closed, well-defined circulation. And we saw it on the infrared together. We pinpointed it together as a group. We got it. We can check that box. The organized deep convection around that low-level center, non-existent. So obviously we're putting a big old X right here. And then we get the name when we have winds greater than 39 miles an hour. However, if we've already put a red X over this guy, we may have winds in the center above 39. That doesn't necessarily mean it becomes Andrea. Now, truthfully, this is where I'm thinking we're going to have to watch. This is a glance at the upcoming season. The subtropics are warm, and we have a lot of leftover warmth out there in the Gulf, near the Western Caribbean, Bay of Campeche, where we saw good old Milton form up last year. So I think these are going to be some of our hot spots to track as we get closer to June and from there on in. These are the names for the 2025 hurricane season. And then last but certainly not least, let's take a look at your close to home forecast. Enough for the future. We can see in the short term, solid conditions. We have the front coming in on Thursday, going to cool us off just in time for the last couple days of the spring break holiday. And then as mentioned previously on Monday, we've got that very low end shot of some showers and rain here in Central Florida. We're going to dial up that forecast as we get closer in time. But for now, let's move over to traffic with Trooper Steve.
Thank you, David. Right now, the hot spots are the Florida Turnpike, north and southbound. We've been talking about this for a minute now, but it's now cleared up north, and we're just seeing those delays southbound over by the southern portion of 27. So just take it easy there. Increase the following distance. We'll be good to go. Those delays on I-4 at Maitland, gone. And they're just starting westbound on I-4 out here at Lake Mary, which is always a nice thing. Oviedo, I'm going to be out with your area within the next 2-3 hours. So look out for me in Broadway, a 434 area, things like that. But if you're on Alafaya, headed towards UCF into Orange County, things are clear. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. An urgent search for a suspect accused of attacking women in Altamont Springs. The latest on the investigation to catch him. Next as we check our big stories. 7:54, let's check our big story. Starting with breaking news from overnight, Crew 9, along with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, undocked from the International Space Station. They are headed back to Earth, and they're expected to splash down off the Florida coast sometime tonight.
Altamont Springs police are searching for a man accused of attacking 3 women last Thursday night in the area of State Road 436 and Wymore Road. Police released this sketch of the man they're looking for and are asking anyone with information to call them right away.
And a developer is finalizing a $17 million deal to buy Seminole Town Center in Sanford. A private real estate firm is set to be the owner. The city of Sanford says it will amount to one of the largest retail developments in Seminole County history. David.
Well, if you moved to Florida recently or you are a native Floridian, and it's called the Sunshine State for a reason. We've got a spectacular rest of the spring break week ahead. Cold front coming through on Thursday is going to drop our temperatures, a very marginal chance for some rainfall in our northern viewing counties. Hopefully we can get a shower over top those wildfires in Brevard. Then we have an awesome weekend in store for us. Friday, high of 70. Saturday and Sunday, much different pattern in place in comparison to last weekend where we were tracking all things severe weather. And then maybe a small chance for rain on Monday with our next upcoming cold front.
That week looks good. I always like how you guys always show the weekend. Keeps us motivated on a Tuesday. Downtown Orlando, we're a little slow here. I-4 eastbound at John Young Parkway. No reason. It's just a Tuesday in Orlando. So just take it nice and easy. 528 Sand Lake, nice and clear. But southbound Turnpike, just watch out, please, as you're exiting to 528 and Consulate for the slowdowns in the right lane.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for joining us. We break news on clickorlando.com.
You can also find all of our stories on our new 6 Plus app for your TV.
Hope you have a great Tuesday.
Bye.
Take care.
Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
Welcome back. Central Florida News 6 meteorologist David Nazario here, pinpointing some really great conditions for the day today. You can see a high temperature of 76, mostly sunny skies, a few clouds out there before we begin to warm up as early as tomorrow. You can see back into the low 80s with the sun absolutely dominating out there. It will be noticeably warmer, and then you can take a look at this temperature trend. Spring break, thankfully, is in full effect here in Central Florida. Now, here's Trooper Steve with your traffic.
Thank you, David. Downtown Orlando not doing too bad this morning. Spring break traffic kind of helping us out, but we are slow eastbound I-4 at John Young. Just be careful. Then southbound Turnpike approaching Consulate, that right lane is going to back up quick for you. So just be cautious out there. Tractions, expected delays, but no major crashes out there. That crash at 192 behind my head right there, it is all clear, and no other crashes. Four Corners looking good. 192 Earl Bronson. From there all the way to St. Cloud. CBS Mornings continues next. Remember, get updates anytime. clickorlando.com.